Lair, then Consulate if required. Expectations, or at least the hope, that this will be a competitive matchup. CAG, though, still the firm favorites as we finally jump into this match. Again, apologies, as you said, for the delay, but it seems like all has been resolved. CAG to start out on attack, and the bans as follows. It's the Mira and Monty in the first wave, and so we may well see double shield bans here from KINOTROPE who are on the defense. In fact, no, it's the Echo and the Ying.
We kind of got to build this one back up a little bit, but for KINOTROPE, this is a really good opportunity that for this roster probably haven't had a lot of opportunities to, make a major and make a name for themselves and get over the tops of your CAGs, your D pluses in recent times, your Fear X's over the course of the last few years. An upper bracket final, a spot in the grand final where anything can happen on that given day. Then it's just one series, you get a little break, everyone has to then fight to even just get there to challenge you. I think CAG come into this as favorites, but I don't look at it as overwhelming favorites. And as spoken about before in the pre-match discussion, which was a while ago now, but CAG is the kind of team that on a given day CAG could win this 7-1, 7-1, and they can lose the 7-1, 7-1, and it can go to 3 maps. It's a complete unknown territory in a series like this, which makes it fascinating and exciting because we're not sure what we're going to get.
Nope, I totally agree with that sentiment. I'm not going to be shocked if CAG run away with this match. Equally not going to be shocked if we see them take a little while to find their footing. As for the opening round, I like the belt of utility that they have on offer here. The Monty banned out, but of course the Blitz has made it through. They then have the Glaz, who can lay a pressure, and then they go pretty old school with the Habana and the Thatcher combination to deal with the hatches on this particular site. Defensively, it's very much an anchor and a bunker down on the objective. The only real caveat to that being that a Claire over towards Blue Stairs on the Denari. The rest of the team, they will bunker down with Catch. They have the Maestro as well for plant denial late. And then some of the old school tools of the smoke and the mute as well. So, yeah, shaping up to be a bit more of an old school bank here, as CAG quite quickly work their way through map control.
Ooh,
wow, that's
lovely
nice.
Clear from Zaka.
That
is
is so
headshot onto
nice.
Claire. Quickly taking control is definitely the goal, and they've been able to achieve that. That's already Blue Stairs under their belt. Here, Gator does get a trade onto DD, man, so the Thatcher goes down. I do have a Gator playing tucked in close CCTV, and typically in terms of the denial, you'll have the Goyo didn't bring it. Obviously, Echo banned out. So it's the 3 gas babes of Ayukayu and Kowal's Maestro cams. That's pretty much what they've got in terms of denial. Minute 30 on the clock. So CAG's in a really solid position, even though they did lose DD man and it's a 4v4.
A lot of this comes down to the util layering here for the attack. Ensuring those smokes are in good positions to cover the likes of Red, and then Sharip can be given the license to peek through that. They still have a total of 4 available, then plus the Capital. So CAG will just need to be disciplined here. Sharip likely to actually drop or go for the back pinch, but in the meantime, Anderson does fall. That does complicate things a little bit. Sharip may consider actually a fake here and then reconnect with the rest of the push, and that seems to be the case. Cully goes for the first plant attempt, but probably forced off. They've been able to draw out the utility though. So it's awkward for CAG being a player down, but they're not in the worst position. Isolation, the name of the game for Sharif, but he loses that duel. Cully immediately to go for the plant, and the cover does not land. Somehow he gets the plant down, but 1v4 will quickly be dismissed. Good work from KINOTROPE. And CAG, a couple of mistakes early in that initial round.
Yeah, I mean, considering they got the opening pick, got the Blue Stairs under their control nice and early, I expected a little bit more from CAG. And credit, though, has to go to KINOTROPE. They don't panic. They don't overinvest. Obviously got that big kill onto DD, man, so they're not going to get flooded in terms of the uneven numbers. They brought it back to 4v4. They lacked a little bit of that denial, but they made up with it with a little bit more of that forward aggression. So, typically basement bank, you'll see the defensive team just kind of go through the util game as their main source of defense. And, KINOTROPE kind of just got on the front foot. I mean, a lovely clear from Zaka. And unfortunately, Sharif just couldn't find the right angle on the glass. And I think at that moment, then the round probably went away from CAG. Basement bank is difficult to attack into at the best of times. And then they just lost too many bodies. Credit has to go to KINOTROPE, though. They just got active. They didn't just kind of sit back and wait for CAG to make the most of the advantage. Unfortunately, we've just lost a Claire. So we're going to get a technical pause, which because the game just started. We now turn this into a rehost.
Yeah, such is the case. Yeah, I mean, fingers crossed that's more so isolated to one player and isn't a sign that the servers have degraded again. But yeah, I like the fight back that we saw in that first initial round there from KINOTROPE. Again, the blue clear was really nice from the attack. We saw the Thatcher leverage to deal with any utility that then forced the anchor back down the stairs and clean shot followed. But unfortunately, then CAG had to prepare themselves properly for that final push. They had a lot of smoke utility. They had a total of 6 smokes that they could play into and then try to leverage the Glaz. And I think the ultimate plan was for Glaz to drop over towards Elevator and provide that pinch pressure and make it very difficult for the backline to deny the default plant. But then Habana died, I believe, Anaton in that round, if I'm not mistaken. And then we saw that initiate a bit of a pivot from CAG, and they're in an unoptimal position. They were unable to really leverage the that belt of utility correctly. So only a couple of minor errors, but that's generally the case on basement. It doesn't take too many things to go against you on the side of attack, and it starts to look a little bit messy. So hopefully for their sake, that's just a bit of a one-off. It'll be limited to that site, and then they can look to reset going forward into what is expected to be top floor up next.
Well, just to cross all the I's and make sure things don't delay too long. Unfortunately for this rehost with the other ongoing issues, we will take a very short break, but hopefully it is indeed very short. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's just one of those days where it seems like we're going to be running into maybe an issue here or there, but fortunately, in this case, it has been resolved. We can get back underway, and hopefully, guys, this could be the last one. But you never know with these things.
It's
clearly.
never the last one.
Well, yeah, I mean,
there's always one more.
I think when it's one of those days, there's usually one more, and if it's not just a one-off thing. But yeah, hopefully it can now get underway, because it's we've only played the one round, which was a good round from KINOTROPE, of course. For CAG, they got the opening pick, they got the good clear over towards Blue Stairs, but KINOTROPE switched on defense and have got themselves off to a good start.
Yeah, just before we jumped into the rehost, the tracker that we have access to is actually showing Archives as the site of choice, and I just thought at the time that was a case of it was selected before the rehost and it wasn't actually going to be committed to, but it seems like KINOTROPE are going to be sending us to Teller's Archives here for round number 2. And if these numbers are to be exact, this site has only been played one time globally in April 2026. So that's interesting. It was won by the Attack. I don't have the exact details as to where or when that did take place, but this is very much a niche selection from the defense.
Yeah, it's not one that you see as often. I mean, it's. I'm trying to think of outside of April how often it really does kind of get played. And again, it's like probably kind of like Basement Chalet in that niche selection. You got some teams that are more than happy to play it. It'll feature very much on that top floor. Deny the vert to the Attack. And this is actually where I think I mentioned it sort of pre-show when it comes to KINOTROPE against CAG. You're going to have tricks up your sleeve. Well, here's one of them, right? Like, these are the little battles that I think are going to determine this upper bracket final. Have they got the capabilities of showing things to CAG that CAG aren't going to be ready for?
On the last year, played 50 times. Basement, for reference, is the most played at 800. So, been played a fraction of the percent as much as those more popular in this particular site. And over the course of those 51 attempts, it's essentially a 50-50 site, 49% in favor of the Attack, making it the second most attacker-sided, the second most defender-sided objective on the map. But again, it's just, the frequency is so low. We'll see how KINOTROPE look to contest up above. AGATE is looking rather aggressive currently over towards second floor. It's a 3-2 split from the defense. AGATE with a really, really positive read here. The double swing from the defense onto Sharif, but he's clued in. Plays it pretty conservatively and he'll survive. Oh, and in fact, nets the kill. So he aggresses at the right moment, finds a good opportunity. DD as well elsewhere. Taps in for CAG, who now go for the plant.
Obviously got the plant down in the opening round as well, but weren't able to follow it up in the post plant. This should be a different story altogether. And maybe a good reason why this is a site that doesn't really see a whole lot of play in contrast to the other sites on this map. And the thing is, you don't need to play Archives on Bang. I think really, when you kind of think about the sites that do get played, I don't know really what you're thinking is that you're replacing is going to make this better. So yeah, look, they went for something, and you know what? I'll stand by it. I think it's good that they've tried something and want to bring that sort of ace up the sleeve mentality. But boy, has it not worked in this round. Yeah, much better from CAG. More on the side of things that they capitalized. Yeah, they got the opening pick in the first round as well, and then credit to KINOTROPE. But yeah, CAG could have done a lot more. This time, they followed through.
Yeah, good composure on the Canto Repel from Sharif. He was able to buy his moment to find that opening kill, kickstart things, and that pressure onto that top floor position somewhat detracted from the rest of the defense. It allowed the slip in and over towards the objective. The plant was pretty simple to go down. KINOTROPE weren't able to leverage a lot of that top floor control in the end anyway. And so I don't think we are going to see that objective played again in this matchup. We go over to open area for round number 3. This being the more traditional tertiary site selection. And well, based on the composition and the early positions here in the setup from KINOTROPE, there should be a bit of an emphasis here on the top floor. They don't have the mirror necessarily to supplement the Jan hold, but I think they'll still try and find a way to contest against that vert.
5 seconds remaining.
It's also a series that has had, well, only 2 rounds played. There's been a lot of disruption pre-series and then also really between the rounds as well. So there's been 0 opportunity for either of these 2 teams to really get their feet set, build momentum. That's a lovely kill from Gator. Shuts down Sharip, who's been arguably the best for CAG. I say arguably, Jibitsu has been rated higher, but you just get the feeling Sharip is the lifeline of this roster. Sharip's at NS. I don't think it's more a case of nice shot. It's more of a case of nice positioning.
Yeah, I tend to agree. So advantage for KINOTROPE now, and we'll see how they look to actually convert this position. They should have a wealth of information available with the Maestro up and maybe the pests as well from Gatorada Connect info. Then have the freedom of the Vigil to lurk around and roam around. Still a top floor presence here from the defense. CAG looking to contest through square. Gatorada under the pump. Still has Nitro. Won't want to die with that in pocket.
It's Gator again. Oh, he's putting the Vigil to good use so far in this 3rd round. The Boss G has been impactful and it's taken down the 2 big heavy hitters for CAG. Well, if there was a statistic of CAG's win percentage with Jibitsu and Sharip being the first 2 dead in the 3v5 from here, I can't imagine it would be all that high. And so far, to begin through the 3 rounds, a little bit back and forth. Both teams have had good moments. Gator can just drop. Big kill from Zaka though onto Gatorada. Of course, Zaka is our Cully. But I like the name Zaka. And he does go down though to Kawau. 2-player advantage for KINOTROPE. Hansen getting pressure from behind. Play over towards Archives. As DD tries to follow in and play with this shield. There's just too many bodies. KINOTROPE have been very, very active on the defensive bank.
It's not over just yet. And it's a good pack a punch on the blitz, but he is pretty limited on HP. Should be a pretty straightforward shutdown. There's Maestro info up as well in towards the site. So even a 2v2 is going to be a challenge for CAG.
Caillou gets the kill onto DD Man, leaves it all down to Anaton. He hits the headshot though onto Eclair. Caillou gets flashed and Anaton goes nuts. Winds back the clock as Anaton could usually do. And just have that moment where he flexes both outside the server and inside the server.
Wow. Well, he's known as being one of the best in the world on the blitz, and that's another really good example of just how strong he can be. It was well and truly KINOTROPE's round to lose in a strong position late. Man advantage, Maestro info up, and even at the end, it was still a 2 versus 1, but he just put himself in a position where he was able to isolate those players and back himself with really, really clean mechanical skill. They were still tricky opportunities to convert, but he was able to do so. And so for KINOTROPE, it's about doing a better job going forward in just dealing with that. All right, here 3v2, Kawau caught out. 2 versus 2 looked rough with information, but then Eclair also presented an opportunity, and then you can't really fault Caillou there. Gets caught up close, not a ton that he could do. And that's a big moment for CAG that will inject a bit of energy into this matchup again, given its disrupted nature. they're the first team really to find some comfort inside of the server. And with that first rotation now done, we return to the top floor. It's Kaid and Capital to be benched.
I mean, KINOTROPE were disappointed. They probably should have been able to go on and win that round. It's 2v4. And again, found the early kills onto Sharif and Chibitsu, courtesy of Ayagata, and did a good job on that vigil. But 4 kills in the round from Addison and wins the 1v2 clutch. Those are the differences, and that's usually what the best teams have in the arsenal, is certain individual players that can win rounds off just sheer ability. Whereas if you play that round out and bring in many other teams, if they don't have that kind of player, they probably lose that round, and Addison is just that player in this region. Sharif can do that, Chibitsu can do that. That's the strength of this CAG roster. Weakness is they can find themselves in those positions that they need to plant those big plays. This is, of course, KINOTROPE's map pick so far. CAG lead.
Kali in play for round 4. Countering the castle, and down below Kali doing quite a bit of damage and disrupting those on site. Allows Chibitsu to find the catch, and that's some good work early here from CAG to layer some really nice pressure uncontested. There's no one really in a position from KINOTROPE to go down below and take on the buck. So that now leaves them in quite a vulnerable position where they're a player down and no one's really able to make a response or produce a response. In the meantime, Akayu also falls, and it feels like CAG are really beginning to lock in here on Bank. And again, we know at their best and at their most dangerous, they are probably the best in the region. So KINOTROPE will need to try and find a response. It's unlikely in this round, but at least going forward. Because at the moment, CAG have a really good read.
It's going to come from anyone down this round for KINOTROPE. It's Ayagata, especially after what we saw in the previous round on the Vigil. Now on the Aruna, he's got the DMR. He can certainly hit some pretty good shots from front desk position. When the entry for CAG is made late in the round, you know, time starting to dwindle. Gatarada's closed up this open area position, so they have a pretty good sense, you would imagine, for the trio, how CAG are going to play this. It comes down to Ayagata. Can he catch a timing? But Sharif, this is smart. Yeah, wonderful. And even with 30 seconds on the clock, it's a 5v3. They know they still have the time and the numbers to clear out a deadly position such as Ayagata. Love that from CAG. Gatarada does find a Nacho from down below in Archives as Eclair is getting pressured up above. He's low on health, needs the help from Gatarada. They do get the kill onto Chibitsu. Plant will go down. As we know, on this side can be difficult to retake, but it's not at the window position. So into the post plant, Anderton will be able to bring that shield up on the Blackbeard. Eclair has to hit the headshot long range here with the UMP, and he does onto Sharif. 30 seconds, Eclair will make his vault in. Gatarada needs to follow suit. Can they get the pinch? Didi able to win his battle up close and leaves Gatarada by himself now. Little time remaining. They've got the pinch over towards long desk as CAG will now make it a 3-1 lead.
Yeah, not a bad little fight back there in terms of the retake attempts. The duo doing a good job isolating over towards top square, and a couple of neat shots here to try and get back in towards the side. But when you're retaking into the Blackbeard, it's always going to be a pretty stiff challenge. And Anderton again showing good discipline in his shield play so far. And yeah, at a 3-1 scoreline, it's especially on the side of attack, it's starting to feel like CAG have a bit of ascendancy here on map 1 of this series. Replay package of that last round. Really love the element of the Kali in this particular attack as well. Did good work onto the castle early, put a lot of pressure on site, and then had that lurk factor late. And there's the tail end of the package where Anderton was able to that kill. Basement a good test of that. Honestly, this round feels critically important. CAG win this particular site, it makes the path forward for KINOTROPE very, very volatile. The expectation will be that defense takes this, but if it does go astray, I think alarm bells are beginning to ring a little bit here for KINOTROPE.
attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
I was looking at some of the numbers for APAC North in kickoff so far, and the entry department, Gator is the best for KINOTROPE, but only a +2. He's gone 8 and 6 in a lot of his entry battles. They probably need a little bit more out of Gatorada in that. He's only won 1. He's only had 2 entry engagements so far this stage. We might get one here. The 10th mark, though, will dissuade him and force him back down main stairs. Mark Cully. In terms of the highest rated player, actually, this kickoff stage, it's Chibitsu at a 136 EPS. Following him is Anaton and Sharip, closely tied together. KINOTROPE, it's only Kawau that's the highest, as Cully gets the kill onto Gator. That's then Kawau falling to Chibitsu. 2 quick kills for CAG at the 2-minute mark, sees them in a similar position to the previous round.
Yeah,
getting these early advantages.
KINOTROPE were panicking for a bit of info there just before those 2 kills. 2 or 3 members flicking cams. They didn't have a very good read as to what CAG were doing. The attack was patient. This could be a potential catch over towards Garage, and it is converted, so it's okay. But CAG is still in a commanding position. Again, they'll have the benefit of information, but with Anaton still on shield, you have the Deimos death marks, you have a ton of Grim and Sense utility. The util here from CAG will be able to certainly counterbalance that.
Well, feels like a pivotal round in the map. Cannot be affording the loss on Locker's CCTV. KINOTROPE winning it in the first round. Even though the plant did successfully get put down by Arkali, aka Zaka. Do have a Nitrosol with Gatorada, but he's over towards Janitor and will collect the kill onto Chibitsu. They should have been aware of the fact that he was still top floor. They had the information from the Deimos. Didyman does get the trade, and it means no Nitrosol for the plant denial. There is an impact available for Caillou. Maestro Cams as well, and he will be able to deny the tin can opener. That is a big success here for the duo of KINOTROPE, and may just force CAG through the doorway. They do have the ROUs up from the Sens.
Anaton,
plant will go down.
Flood deep. And you're right, plant down. Anaton gets crunched though, and DD's very low on HP. It's winnable.
Just going to play this forward to the bottom chassis though. There was a prime player. DD and Akayu both very low on health. Impact does nothing. DD Man stood back, and DD Man stands up to win the clutch for CAG. It's a 4-1 lead.
Wow. And again, I really didn't expect it to happen in terms of CAG being able to attack successfully on basement, but that now really poses a difficult task for KINOTROPE, losing the primary side in that fashion. Sure, it was close, but it still is penciled in as a loss, puts them in a tricky spot now. We get back to open area, another side in which they've been unsuccessful. 3-3 here with 50 seconds on the clock. Gatorada, though, he gets caught. A little over-aggressive there on the drop. Anaton able to layer some pressure through red. That was actually quite well dealt with by KINOTROPE. But then Akayu fails to pre-fire around the corner, loses that duel. That's a
DD Man's been the
margin.
MVP.
Yeah,
He has been the best player so far for CAG, like the #1 rated player inside of the server, but most importantly for his team, it's not even just the numbers. You think about that round in particular. You know, he gets shot in the back, Gatorada drops down hatch in towards admin, and then he's able to then quickly turn around, pistol kill him. Then he gets plant down, and then in the post plant gets a kill, then wins the 1v1 at the end. Like he's done quite a lot in just one round to get CAG into the best position possible. And prior to that, he's gotten plant down twice. So he's gotten plant down 3 times in 5 rounds, which means he's staying alive. He's getting into the best positions to, you know, keep that kit in a good spot. The highest survival rate in the server, and goes 6-2. So he's fragging out. Well, he's 6-2. I think there was We lost a bit of the numbers after the first round.
So Gator on the vigil here, round 6, and an interesting fact regarding him. KINOTROPE have a 90% round win rate when he gets 2 or more kills, which makes sense, but critically 32% if he gets 0. So Gator needs to continually have impact here to help his team on these roams, especially on the vigil where he's shown prowess so far, and being able to do that, it's about trying to strike some consistency now. During that, of course, top 4 control is being chipped away at by CAG, spearheaded by Blackbeard. Gator, though, will resume his roam, but on that note, we'll actually drop down. So top 4 now vacated.
Claire on the move, pushing over towards square, but thinks better of it. Kali so far with 2 opening kills in the half is leading in that department against everyone else, and it's been 4-1 in favor of CAG as a whole. Of course, didn't capitalize in the opening round, which is so far the only round that they've lost. And Sharif goes hunting down below. Needs to be careful because he might be getting hunted from behind as Gator slipped down bot main stairs. It might just be a timing if he wants to push it, but judging by the way he's holding this angle, I imagine it's more to deny the push up towards Beepers rather than to go chasing below. But 35 seconds left in the round means for CAG, they really need to start hitting the site. And Sharif has actually doubled back and will take this fight against Gator. So Cully gets the opening kill. They got the pinch on him. They've cleared out main stairs. They can come through Beepers. Gatorada's blown himself up. And this is another 5v3 advantage for CAG. Nitrocell is from Printer, from Okayu. It doesn't connect, and DD Man will get the plant down for the 4th time in the half as CAG are going to bookend a 5-1 attacking half to kickstart the upper bracket final. There's been delays, but it's all swift inside of the server for CAG. Alrighty, back from the break as CAG 5-1 up here on the opening map, which is KINOTROPE's map as well, guys. That's the concern. And CAG go defense. The wider concern for me is the series as a whole, not even the map. For me, Bank is a must-win. After what we saw CAG do on Lair last week against D+ Care, where they absolutely routed them 7-1. It's a very strong map pick for them, and spells trouble now for KINOTROPE in the series as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've had a couple of series that we've covered across APL in kickoff where maybe one team wins the opposition's map pick and then we see the reversal. Again, it could happen here, but it feels highly unlikely. I think that they looked absolutely almost unstoppable on Lair. And sure, maybe KINOTROPE of being able to review that VOD and take, have some takeaways, whatever. I still think the gap on that map could be pretty substantial. So to be walking away from the first half of Bank and that too being dominant, it makes it feel like this could be wrapped up pretty quickly, pretty swiftly by CAG, which is exactly the kind of result that these guys would have been gunning for. Being able to convert that inside of the server has to be a pretty positive feeling so far. Of course, it's not done just yet, but it does feel like a bit of a formality at this point. Well, we're dominant in that first half, just across the board, able to activate their key players, playing some really good Siege. Got 4 and 6 opening kills over the course of that half as well. And really outside of the first basement side, again, an objective where you're not expected to produce consistency. They were pretty good, so certainly a challenge for KINOTROPE to bring this one back.
I mean, if you see CAG, you're just very happy with this half overall. Even the first round that you lost probably could have been played out a little bit better after getting that opening kill. Locus and CCTV is not always that easy, and that's really only been the site they've had issue with. And obviously, DD was able to clutch up, get them the win on that site. The only other one was the staff open area where Yagator got if you recall, the 2 kills onto Chibitsu and Sharif, and that opened up that particular round, and then Anderton just went nuts. All the other rounds, pretty one-sided. A little reminder again, we did lose the data from the opening round inside of the server due to the rehost. Wow, it's actually like 4-5, for instance. And DD's actually 6-2, and well, everyone for CAG add 1 death to their overalls, etc. As the Solid Snake of Gator is going to look to push through Archives, walks past the Grismont mine. 2 more in pocket for Sharif. No, never mind. He's got no more. As Gator rips his head off, he'll get the opening kill. He's looked the most lively for KINOTROPE in the early portion of rounds.
So midpoint of the round, and DD will elect to hold blue stairs instead of retreating to site. So Akali will drop elevator, and so with that, all 4 members basement with the asterisks of DD ban. You will play life blue, and I presume KINOTROPE will eventually try and shape up to clear him, then default to have secondary hard breach as well for server. There is a world in which they can back hit. They have the util layer for that potentially as well. But, I mean, at the moment, all signs pointing towards a server drop. Anderton trying to support DD, but he gets caught.
Yeah, timing.
Gets babe in hand. That was some bad timing on his part.
Yeah, I think he was sensing the pressure on the square hatch drop, so he wanted to time it where he'd blow the gas babe and then push up blue stairs and hopefully get in their face, and they wouldn't expect it, but they swung early. You can see the cogs turning for DD, man, but it just didn't work out as Jibitsu at least shuts down Solid Snake in Gator. Oh, well, this is a big moment here over towards Vault. If Akali can land this Nitrocell and kill the Gutterata drop, then you've got Vault locked down, and it's just server side that you got to worry about. Kwau's pushing towards bot main stairs. Jibitsu wants to get in his face. Nice. Oh, hits the headshot. Well, don't worry about the shield. Gutterata still has to drop here, and credit to Akali on the patience. Oh, no. Never mind, gives up on it with 7 seconds remaining in the round. Gutterata now has the freedom to drop and shoot him from behind. That is some unfortunate timing. Jibitsu, can he deny the plant? Akali got off it. Gutterata ends up winning the round. Akali would be kicking himself. With ball beat in that situation in any FPS game where you just watch, you wait, you're sitting there for 30, 40 seconds, nothing humming your way. You're thinking, all right, I'm going to get off it. And then immediate drop down, and you're dead on the timing.
I'd love to see Akali's cam reaction when he gets shot in the back through gold. He would have been
massive eye roll.
Yeah. He waited so long. It was the perfect read. It just, the KINOTROPE attack took so long that it actually favored them.
And the thing is, right, from the perspective, and this is where it's really good to kind of get this across, is if he keeps holding that and nothing ends up coming that way, and then his teammates are dying on the more direct fights, they're probably like, well, what are you doing? You know, you're just sitting back doing nothing. So it's like you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't on the timing nature of it. As you said, had the right read. A scrappy round, but credit to KINOTROPE. They come into the second half after getting beaten down 5-1 in the first half, and they take Locker CCTV to kickstart an attacking half. Look, comebacks can happen. That's certainly one way to do it. If you're going to start it off, you take that basement side on bank as the attacking team.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
Yeah, it was always going to be an uphill battle, but evidently off to a decent start, KINOTROPE. So the question will now be, are they able to make that count? Can they start mounting any kind of pressure onto CAG again, given their historical troubles in closing out close games? I'm sure that's certainly something KINOTROPE will be trying to explore and potentially exploit in this matchup, but they're still a long way away from getting to that point. They'll need to grind out a couple more wins here on this initial rotation. As for this round, top floor, IQ lurk below.
For electronic devices. Located a bomb.
You get looking for these devices on site. There's a bit of catch on offer to protect Jan. Malusi anti-lurk. The bandit, of course, that's rather predictable. And even the Solos as well could be an interesting interaction. Seems like there's good read and good information as well with drones on site here for KINOTROPE. So the early round is, I guess, somewhat gone in their favor. I think they'd be pretty pleased with their position at the moment.
Pretty default setup for CAG, which might lean into the lineup that KINOTROPE brought into this round. They don't have to worry about the mirror. They ban that away. Akayu can then put pressure with the bolts over towards Janitor. Try and see if Gatorada can find a pick towards front desk here on the rappel. It's going to be a patient kind of round for KINOTROPE. I know there's only a minute and 10 seconds left, but it's all about the patience here. Can you find a pick? See if someone from CAG makes a misstep. And there you go. It's Ayukada. He's been given the time and space towards top square. And it's him again. He's gotten all three of the opening kills for KINOTROPE here on this map of Bank. And now you can start to see the layering of the utility from KINOTROPE. And it's what's that going to try and do is force CAG in a response, put them into, again, bad positions where they've got everyone on the attack in a good angle to deal with it. But credit to CAG. They haven't over-invested here in the response. They've still got both their nitro cells. They've still got long desk control and can deny any kind of push in over the wall. Oh, that's a lovely upside down rappel though from Kawau. And that should be the round. In fact, this is very clinical right now from KINOTROPE and bodes well for this half in a comeback attempt. So far, haven't put a foot wrong. It's flawless. And I just wonder if that might force a timeout from CAG. Haven't come out of the half at all.
No, they haven't. I would anticipate that they wait one more round, at least play out the first rotation, and they can think things forward from there. But yeah, it has been rather dominant. More so that round as opposed to basement, but that's kind of the natural progression of the site. They've done a really good job there to put their playmakers in a position to apply pressure early onto CAG, and then they've split the attack in such a way that it's difficult then for them to fight back positionally into the round. So yeah, credit to KINOTROPE. They've put their best foot forward, but the question will then be, what's CAG's resilience like, and are they able to quickly switch on here? Next site will be, again, essentially another must-win for KINOTROPE. I think they need to put themselves in the best position before we see the re-attempts of these sites where CAG should be able to probably correct or adjust based on what they've seen so far.
Well, the sign of a good side is that they don't panic. And the benefit of having someone like DD who's been in that sort of coaching role before and can even just talk the team through things a little bit. Into the 9th round we go. Well, the tails are up though for KINOTROPE. They've got the momentum. It may only be 2 rounds, but it's the way in which they've won the rounds. They got the opening kills. Gatorada's starting to get involved now. 3 kills in that previous round. Flawless as well on the top floor. And it will be repeat. So they don't take the timeout, but they will repeat lockers and CCTV. And this is when I do have the concern though, guys, because if you lose this, it's 5-4. You've lost basement twice. Then you take the timeout, but what's the discussion going to be then? Do you go lockers and CCTV again? Like, how do you frame it? If they had taken the timeout and off the back of that gone basement, and they've lost Sharif again. That's his 3rd opening death so far here on Bank, and Jipitsu's very, very low. Well, they're misplaying this massively for lockers and CCTV. If you've lost one this early on and Jipitsu's this low, huge advantage for KINOTROPE. Absolutely massive start here in the 9th, and Anaton's dead as well. What is going on?
Yeah, they seem eager to take a lot of these aggressive fights on the fringe of the map, and well, KINOTROPE are meeting fire with fire at the moment, and they're a mechanically gifted team, really capitalizing upon those opportunities. So Chibisu low, it's 5 versus sort of 2.5 here for CAG. It's going to take some pretty big clutch work here, otherwise they're going to find themselves overwhelmed pretty quickly here down below. Chibisu's eager to make a play. Such high risk, but doesn't have too many options at this point. Hatch open above. Chibisu will need to retreat. Now they're boxed in, this defense.
And you can't do much but wait. That's the concern. You kind of have to let them get set up for the execution. The Capitao bolts, the Candelas from the Ying, flash dumps as well available. There's so much utility, and with the extra 2 players, KINOTROPE, this would have to be a massive throw, even on lockers and CCTV. Factoring in that Chibisu's so low on health and needs to be a bit of a frontman target. Gasbabe thrown out from DD man. And Kwao, immediate drop down from main stairs. Easy kill onto Arkali, and it's falling apart. CAG have already called a tactical timeout. Wow, KINOTROPE, that is such a statement round. They make it 3 straight on the attack, and you have to wonder, where did this come from? There has not been a defensive round win on Bank since the opening round.
Yeah, it's definitely opened up. And KINOTROPE are bringing, I would say, even a more aggressive tempo comparatively to what we saw from CAG in the first half, and so that's concerning. That CAG they've tried to match it, that they're not peeling as quickly as maybe they would against other teams. They're wanting to try and take these battles, or even if they're not wanting to take them, they're getting caught out and not being allowed to retreat towards side and then play more of a util focused game late. So credit goes to KINOTROPE. They're enabling these entries. The entries have been absolutely snappy from them. That's it's 3 straight for APL. Like, that is an impressive streak. And you know, critically, they've then been able to convert them. So I think for Sparky and the boys on CAG, it's a case of let's refocus. Let's try and formulate a plan to better withstand the pressure in the early round, and then let the late round come to us.
So out of the timeout, into the bans. The Ying taken off along with the Goyo. No lockers CCTV again for CAG. They go staff and open area for the first time in the second half and hope that the new site choice will be one of success. It's been a testament to KINOTROPE though, because they looked a little down and out and a little sorry for themselves after a 5-1 half that ended on a flawless. I mean, CAG were just at the top of their game. But Ayagata has, I mean, he's been sensational. He's gotten all 4 of their opening kills. Yes, he had a lot of opening deaths in the first half as well, but I think it's a testament to someone who is just knowing his role. He needs to take the early battles, and he's been able to come out the other side now in this second half on top. He's had 7 opening engagements in 9 rounds. That is a huge amount. If you were to put that into a percentile, that's at the higher end, like 7 out of 9.
I hope this isn't what I think it is. I feel like maybe the server's died again, but no. Continuing on from that point, it really has been a massive difference maker, and not just the opening kills in isolation, but I think more so than the ability of KINOTROPE to not allow the repunish from CAG, who naturally will then lean into aggressing or try to take that space back or finding another flank or a play opportunity else. So KINOTROPE has said nope, and they've very definitively been able to win out all 3 of these rounds. The first
I'll
one,
tell you what, KINOTROPE don't want is if we are to have another delay, this is the worst time for them because they're hot right now.
Yeah, no, for sure.
This is where you type in chat, who's got the potato PC?
Someone from CAG's throttled their
Someone's warming up
computer.
Someone's warming up the toaster. I think CAG more than happy to just kind of sit here and take a tiny little breather. We're back in underway. Out of the timeout. And honestly, this is where that's a solid 2.5, 3 minutes maybe for CAG after that previous round loss when you factor in the tactical timeout into the bans, into a small little delay, just enough time to have that rebreather, less pressure coming at you because KINOTROPE have brought the pressure in these rounds. Be in fear of it being banned away. I doubt it, considering if you had 3 rounds to probably win the map, you would have played it. I think this is more of an in response to what we've seen from KINOTROPE. CAG probably didn't want to play the clash. They probably wanted to play aggressive. Now it's a factor of, okay, well, KINOTROPE's hitting some good shots. A-Gate is getting free opening kills. Let's bring the clash. Let's try and shore up the defense. And they brought a lot of trap utility as well with the Denari and the Thorn. You got plenty of barbed wire everywhere. there's a lot of barbed wire in this round.
It's the anti-A-Gator strat. Let's make this loc as difficult as possible. I mean, that said, he's already still in a pretty commanding position over towards blue, and then CAG may be forced to invest the clash into kind of dealing with that for now. 0 in play as well here for round 10. Pretty low pick rate, but 6 cams available, and so if he can manage that correctly, Bank is a really good example of a map where it's actually quite useful. There's also a bunch of util that he might be able to disrupt as well on top of the information, and you can see the whole suite of that as he flicks through.
I love this setup though from CAG, although Sharif is good enough to get 1. He's not going to get a second, but with Anaton's position bottom square, he denies A-Gator the ability to push up from first floor to second floor through square. That means that for the second floor hold, which is very extensive, CAG were only playing and still only playing one on the side. And Anaton's position, yes, he may be on the quote-unquote first floor, but what he's doing is denying the ability for KINOTROPE to push up and pressure from square side. And so you only have to watch the hallway angle rather than worrying about is someone going to push up from first floor. He's really denying a lot of space here for KINOTROPE.
Hold on. I have intel.
Now that's why A-Gate has now gone over towards main stairs. They do find the kill onto DD, man. He was the one in sight. He was the only one in sight. And so KINOTROPE have got another big advantage. And the power of the clash is just so much stronger when you have bodies around you. If you're playing it by yourself, you're a little bit more weaker. You're going to have to spend more time with the shield. Oh, Claire with a good angle fight onto Chibisu, who went hunting. Spots another one over towards Stock, and that's Arkali. And KINOTROPE are on the verge of tying this map up.
Okay.
I mean, CAG just don't know what to do defensively at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment, KINOTROPE just have a full read on them. They're doing a really good job, even into that kind of setup, to just put A-Gator in a position where he's still able to pressure. He's not necessarily going to be the one netting big kill count in that round, but he's still doing enough. Questioning the castle setup there, the clash setup there in that round, and the big investment that was made from CAG, and it still doesn't work for them.
Attackers need to locate.
So it's a 5-5 scoreline in probably the most attack-decided bank I think I have literally ever casted, which is saying a lot. Basement, though, the tester, CAG, absolutely need to win this side. They're going aggressive. Rotations first floor, hatches open. Instead of going into the defensive and going into their shells. They're getting on even more on the front foot here. They want to try and kill Gator and contest him as early as possible. They're not taking any second chances on the site.
I mean, this is do or die now for CAG. Only a single defensive round is separating these two teams right now. Diddy Man is really pushing it now, considering what we've seen from KINOTROPE. Even just then, the way he just nonchalantly was pushing in towards bot blue stairs. And Chipisu watching over towards staff, though, to make sure no one pushes through electrical. Got Harada on the Nook. And KINOTROPE, you've got to just say, have been so exceptional in this second half. Dominating in the opening kills. They've had multiple multi-kills from Gator, Gatorada, Akayu. They're getting early picks around the 2-minute mark quite often. But this time it goes the other way as Anaton fires the shot and shuts down the Blackbeard. They did get the opening kill in the previous round, but this one might have more effect. No Blackbeard basement on Bank. And puts a lot of pressure now on Gatorada to probably get this kill. And an overpeak from Arkali. And you have to beg the question of why. Why do you need to overpeak that?
Yeah, it makes things awkward. It means that the Reds now are going to be under immediate pressure. Anton, though, responds. There's a big onus and responsibility on Gatorada, again, in this round, having impact. His position, of course, is known. So he's lost that element of surprise.
You just don't have to feed him.
Yeah. It's a difficult position, and it prompts the rotate, understandably so. But the options here are now pretty limited for KINOTROPE. Sharif also in archive, so keep that in mind. There's a rotate as well.
Well, surely this is a round that CAG can tuck away. 60 seconds left. Sharif, lovely. Just didn't overswing, didn't overplay his position. Waited for the opportune time until Kawau would walk into his sightline and gets his reward. And the downside for Gatorada, he was so deep over in Garage that by the time he actually gets out of Garage, makes his way back into the building through lobby, there's only 40 seconds left in a 2v4 for all the good work of KINOTROPE for bringing this game back. It is still going to end up in a map point scenario for CAG. Finally, it's taken them some time, but they secure overtime at minimum. And finally able to get their first defensive round in the half as Eclair cannot win out against Sharif as CAG return to the winning side of things for the first time since the 6th round, stopping a 4-round win streak of KINOTROPE. 6-5 map point.
And puts to end a 9-round streak on the side of Attack Shed across both teams. It was quite remarkable just how strong and how well both teams were able to attack in quick succession. But as kind of expected, finally Basement sees success for the defense. Anaton with the opening kill and then conversion from the others. And Gatorada, unfortunately, was unable to have meaningful impact in that round outside of the singular kill Garage. Back to the top floor, and this will pose a challenge for the defense. It seems like the clash is going to once again be introduced, hidden over towards Elevator. CAG have tried to leverage that previously, and it was actually dealt with pretty well by KINOTROPE, who you look across at the lineup, are going to have a pretty big belt of utility, explosives, gun 6s potentially as well. So Anderton's going to have a lot to juggle in his regard, and I don't think they can necessarily fully rely on that clash being sort of a permanent fixture in the round in terms of that shield being available and actually being in a playable area. It's going to be a task to challenge. It's going to be a task to juggle that, and then you consider with the mirror band out, that leaves Jan vulnerable. Yeah, this is going to be quite a tricky round for the defense, so we'll see how they try and lock it down.
And add in the pressure as well. And we're able to avoid the match point scenario for so long, KINOTROPE. 10-7 now for Gatorada's been their best. Gators 9-7, including the opening round. What's interesting is after that 7 out of 9 straight for Gator in the opening engagements, it's the last 2 rounds that he hasn't been as involved, and most importantly in the previous round they lost. And now he goes on to the Blackbeard. For the first time we see shield play from Gator, and you just have to wonder, will that potentially limit his ability to have an impact early in the round? Oh, good angle from Akayu. Gets really good damage into Anaton.
I think it destroyed the shield as well, right? So, again, that's what I was talking about before. Actually, retaining the shield is going to be such a challenge into that lineup. And now on cue, KINOTROPE have done a good job dealing with it. I was
going to say, without the shield, he's probably still a big factor, but now low on health and only SMG, yeah, he's easily dealt with. And it is Gator that finds the opening kill. Well, that's a good omen for KINOTROPE. Every single time Gator's got the opening pick in this half, they've gone on to win the round. And with DD Man down on the Solus, it's a 5v3 and becomes theirs to lose.
They have double Nitro, but actually leveraging that is going to be very difficult. KINOTROPE in such a good position.
Well, hang on a second. CAG haven't gone for the revive on the DD Man, but he is in a revivable position potentially towards long death, depending on the angles. Jibisu trying to fight over towards Stock. Gatorada caught over towards Spiral. And Claire thought about the play inside of CEO. Jibisu catches Kowal. They've tried to make a lot of different entries in different positions. They're just feeding 1v1s. But Eclair wins that one. They do get the revive on the DD Man, which keeps the advantage with CAG 3v2 in the last 30 seconds. Eclair and Akayu are split. They're just solo. Sharif watching towards the janitor doorway position. They still remain with 2 nitro cells available too. If Akayu is to make his way in, they don't have any smokes. He's caught towards top square. And this might be map done despite what looked like a great start to the round for KINOTROPE. It comes to a close with CAG taking their map pick. A strange old map of Bank. It was a 5-1 half to CAG. It seemed like it was going to be an easy ride. But like a roller coaster with ups and downs, it still ends with the same result. CAG get the win.
KPX 소속 우기맨 박진욱입니다. 팀 내에서는 주로 서포트 역할을 주로 합니다. 처음에는 배틀그라운드로 게임을 시작했고 근데 배틀그라운드 핵이 너무 많아가지고 친구들이랑 게임 좀 찾다가 레식 찾아가지고 그냥 넘어갔어요. 배틀그라운드가 마냥 총만 쏘는 게임은 아니었던 것 같아서 전략적으로 움직이는 걸 좋아했는데 그러다 보니까 레식도 좀 똑같은 부분으로 재밌었던 것 같아요. 확실히 재미는 둘 다 있는데 아무래도 좀 직업으로 하다 보니까 프로는 재미는 있는데 좀 압박감도 같이 있었어요. 저 4살 차이 형만 있어요. 형이랑은 아니요, 형 별로 못해가지고 PC방을 제일 많이 갔던 것 같아요. 집보다는 거의 중학교 때부터 제일 많이 간 것 같고 네, 제일 많이 간 것 같아요. 노마드 나온 시즌이 언제냐, 한 횟수로는 한 4년 전인 것 같아요. 그냥 랭크 하다가 언제지? 그냥 스피어 테스트 때 일반 랭크랑 너무 달라가지고 긴장도 했고 처음 보는 사람들이랑 막 뭐 하려고 하니까 긴장 많이 하고 좀 많이 어려웠어요. 잘 몰랐는데 그 경쟁 씬에 긴장하는 게 아니고 살짝 그냥 좀 낯을 가려서 사람들이랑 좀 근데 긴장은 많이 안 됐고 압박감만 조금 있었던 것 같아요. 프로로서 첫 대회다 보니까 잘해야 된다 그런 느낌이 좀 있었어요. 7, 8등인가 잘 기억이 안 나요.
He gets it just in time! It is Apex Norman! They are the best that this region has got to offer!
Well, a turbulent bank, which led with a 5-1 half for CAG, ended up being a 7-5 result, guys. Good fight back from KINOTROPE. They strung together 4 rounds straight to tie it up 5-5, but CAG come out the other side for the better. They get the result that they were searching for, which is taking away KINOTROPE's map. and putting himself in the best position to qualify for the grand final. Now on Lair to follow.
Yeah, I mean, it was volatile to say the least. It was an incredibly attacker-sided map across the board. That was true in both halves. CAG kickstarted quite nicely. They were able to kickstart some serious momentum after that big clutch from Anaton, and then able to kind of roll that forward. But then as we transitioned into the second half, KINOTROPE were able to dip into some expertise of their own. They were very strong, particularly on the basement side, in keeping CAG honest off the objective and then being able to convert. But now eventually the dam wall did end up breaking, and CAG were good enough to just get the job done. It was certainly very, very close, but ultimately they were too good in the end. And in terms of setting up the series, well, that was the selection of KINOTROPE. So for CAG, it's looking pretty rough from here.
We had the head-to-head earlier with Ayagata and Gatorada, even though they're on the same team. But I think that for these two, it was pretty clear-cut, wasn't it, on Bank, that if they were going to get the job done, it was going to come from them. Ayagata with the opening kills and his ability to impact the game early on in rounds, and then probably Gatorada at times towards maybe the latter stages of the rounds. Ayagata ended up with 8 opening engagements across the 12 rounds played, which is still a significant margin. He went 5-3, so I mean that's a win, that's a good result. But it also meant that if he did get those opening deaths, which we saw quite more of in the first half, they were very susceptible without him, and they lost a lot of firepower. Gatorada got a 3K in the 8th round, which was on the top floor. He had a big involvement, but that was a flawless round. They both went 10-8, 0 opening engagements from Gatorada. So maybe wanted to see them actually split that workload a little bit more in the early portions of the round, but different roles. And certainly the way that Ayagata was playing, he took the full onus on himself to get into the building and in the second half find the early picks, and he did a really good job of that, picking up 4 opening kills in the second half for no opening deaths. So he went 4-0 in that second half on the attack at Bank. That was a big half from him. Not enough though, clearly, to get the job done, as Gatorada's just going over some notes of Lair.
Yeah, I think they're in a Discord screen share at the moment, so clearly they've got some ideas brewing here on the second map, and so fingers crossed it ends up being a decently competitive outfit. I struggle to envision a one in which it's near as attacker-sided as what we saw back on Bank. I think that would surely be a bit of a one-off, but who knows? I think we've come to expect the unexpected here in APL. But yeah, I think we'll be jumping in pretty soon, so excited.
Heading over to Lair, though, there's got to be concerns now for KINOTROPE, considering what CAG did to D+ last time. But if I did want to add a spin to it, the result that CAG got against D+ Kia, as we spoke to Hal and spoke to PJ, was largely in result to counter-stratting. So it was more a case of what CAG did to not only stop what D+ would like to do there, but also the best ways to play against how D+ play, which does lead then to the conversation. Well, they're not playing D+ today. They're playing KINOTROPE. And KINOTROPE's going to play Lair very differently to how D+ played it. And so it might not be a case of, oh, well, CAG, differ, you would imagine, to what D+ did. So I'm not going to completely just chalk this up as like guaranteed bang on CAG 100% going to win it. They're going to go in as favorites. It's their map pick. Clearly had a good result on it last time, but I'm curious to see what KINOTROPE are going to do to offer a point of difference.
Yeah, based on what we've seen so far, I think there's a very strong chance that they try and really leverage Ayagata specifically on entry, put him on the likes of the Snake or the Deimos or some kind of info gatherer, Dockerby, etc., something in that realm, and have the pre-placed drones or droning live in front of him to try and facilitate that entry battle. It was clearly very successful back on Bank, and I don't see Lair being massively indifferent in that sense, that he'll be able to have that license and maybe try and isolate a couple of picks or whatever the case may be. So I think that's going to be a big, potential win condition for them. But equally, CAG now have probably clued into that a little bit more, and maybe on Lev, especially being their selection, they'll probably be a little bit more comfortable, I think, in actually countering that. Back on Bank, I think we did see them be a little bit half-hearted in some of the ways that they did try and counter it. Eventually it clicked, but yeah, I think the expectation will be that it's a little more refined here on the second map.
To the second map we go. Lair is calling as CAG one map away from booking their place in the grand final for kickoff. Again, a reminder when it comes to APAC North, there's only the one slot, and they have to win the grand final to book their place in Salt Lake City. Better news for APAC North as well is that their one slot, when we kind of talk about the slots, is that whoever the team that does go over to the major, best performing from the APAC regions can potentially then get an extra slot for the next coming stage. So, you know, CAG are in hot form. I think they're the kind of team that, again, they could either go dead last at the major or probably get a top 8 finish. So, I think APAC North would probably like to see CAG actually go over there to have the best chance of maybe getting a second slot in stage 1.
Yeah, certainly a possibility.
Well, I mean, unless you'd like to go yourself, though, of course. Goes without saying.
No doubt. The bans for the first half, it's the Bandit, Mirror, and a double shield. So the Monty and the Blitz taken out. Clearly, KINOTROPE feeling and sensing that the pressure that Anaton was able to create, especially back on Bank, on the Blitz specifically, several clutch moments as well. They don't want to deal with that here on Laren. You think about some of the hallways, choke points, etc. that this map has to offer. I can't help but feel that the Blitz or the Monty would have been a very, very strong selection. So Anaton will be forced to pivot, likely onto the likes of the Glass. Maybe even be forced onto a bit of hard bridge, and this seems to be the case for this opening round.
And the fact that KINOTROPE at least get to start defense is probably a good saving grace coming into CAG's map pick. But it means you still got to get the round wins, and if you do give up quite a few attacking rounds in this first half, then it's going to be a long way back. Well, surprise, surprise, or in this case, no surprises. Asia Gator opening kill onto Sharif. He has been sensational. 5-0 technically in the last 5. So he started 1-3 in the first half on Bank. And then since then, 5 straight to Asia Gator in his opening battles. And what a perfect way to start here on Lair. You get rid of the Dockerby. Sharif's obviously a top player. And you can just go back, play site, fortify up. And CAG is just very unlikely to get much from this round now. Can change quickly. And they do still have, I guess, all of the pieces needed to probably take this site still up.
Yeah, it's not end of the world territory just yet for this round, but it is going to be a grind. They have the key pieces. They can still open the 2 primary hard breaches, try and activate the Glass and cut off some lines of sight. Nomad for a bit of crowd control as well. Having the Dockerby is nice, but it's not essential on this particular site. I know it teases the plant there initially. Oh, and Chibisu finds a pick. Okay.
Well, Chibisu is the big one. If they're going to win this round, it's off of the back of him, and he does at least get a kill onto a Claire. Now, there is a Nitrocell available for KINOTROPE, but they don't have the smoke. So no gas babes. There's not really long-range denial towards Mask, and they don't have the clash. Defensively, KINOTROPE are missing quite a few pieces here and denying the ability for CAG to just, layer smokes, get plant down in Mask, and allow Chibisu to then hold the angle. Chibisu's got to be very careful, though, here over towards Armory. He needs to stay alive. He's a big piece to the puzzle for CAG if they are to win this round. Colorado keeping him at bay. There's only 40 seconds left as DD Man takes Mez control, slips down server, maybe sensing that there's a gap here in the defense, and boy, is there ever. Over towards display, He's able to clean out a lot of information, but Chibisu dies to the Nitrocell. Arkali is dead to Akayu, and DD Man, well, he got his job done in terms of infiltrating from behind. Anaton will go for the plant inside of R6. This is certainly not the conventional way that you'll attack into this round more often than not, and Koa is able to shut down Anaton as KINOTROPE will take top floor.
Yeah, I think CAG, if they had their time over, would have better formulated a plan to play around DD. And I'm sure it was being communicated, and to be fair, they were kind of in positions where it was a little tricky given where the diffuser was to actually pivot that quickly, play off him, maybe go for a late pivot to the R6 room position. So it was a little tough, and the round certainly played out in a fashion that was pretty unconventional. It's also top 4, so again, it's expected that defense will be very successful there, and it's a similar storyline that will translate towards basement as well. But for me, the key takeaway really was the beginning of that round. Gator again. He's been absolutely stacking kills on entry at the moment and really setting his team up nicely.
There's a round though that CAG is probably not too fast about losing. It is Master and R6. We'll go basement. And last time out we saw CAG on lair was last week, and it was a 5-1 defensive half that really set them up against D plus Kia. And then won 2-0 in the attacking half to close it out 7-1. Technically, KINOTROPE's already done better than D plus did on the defense against CAG. Even if it did get a little bit messy. Result is all that matters. And considering the sledge and the ramp have been brought in this second round, you have to expect that for CAG. It's not going to be a direct hit. They will go for the top-down clear. And Chibisu will aid in that with the Dockerby calls.
KINOTROPE posing some questions. Oh, with presence offside. Again. And again, Gator seemingly just pounces out of nowhere, finds Arcully. And with that, it's advantage KINOTROPE again.
I'll tell you what, if KINOTROPE lose this series, Gator is going to sit back thinking, well, I've done everything I possibly can for these guys. I don't know what else you want me to do. He's 6-0 straight in terms of opening kill engagements from the second half of Bank to the start of lair. Gatorado is pinched. That's a really good play for CAG, though, to catch him.
Drone ready to be deployed.
But Eclair able to shut down Sharif. It's been a series to forget for Sharif. He's a high-impact player on his best days, but as things stand, he's got the lowest percentage cost. He's got the worst entry differential. At least in terms of the KD department, now only 9-10, but it's been trending downwards.
Knock, knock.
Oh, Gator, he survives. That was an opportunity maybe presenting itself for CAG. They still have quite a bit of utility here. A full belt of flashes.
Oh,
DD does catch out Kawal. That was a big overpeak.
What an angle, though, to be fair. That was a very tight angle for DD to hit that shot. He has connected onto Kawal. Anderson taken low on the Blackbeard. Jibisu fighting over towards Labs. Got two different fights, though, going on at once. Claire was knocked. He is down at the moment. Nakayu cannot go for that res. He's getting aggressed upon it. Leaves it down to Gator. The man who starts it all now needs to finish it. As DD goes for the plant. Well, that impact... that's like when you're trying to throw a punch in your dreams. It just didn't go far at all. And Anderson knows he needs to just hold, create an angle, create space for DD man. Oh my goodness, Gator gets rid of Anderson with ease and creates the 1v1 against DD, who clutched up earlier on Bank in a said 1v1 and does it again.
Wow.
Well, it's the clutch master apparently versus the opening engage king. But in that moment, it's on DD's battleground. He clutches up again. And CAG are on the board on lair.
He's like, not bad for a coach. That's
he's not a coach anymore.
That's two really composed 1v1s. And I mean, Gate is clearly the most dangerous and the scariest man inside of the server at the moment. And despite being red pinged, he was able to hold his nerve and win out that fight. Decent recovery effort from CAG. They were able to, in the 3 versus 4, yeah, that was a very nicely shot, recover the round. And look, DD finished the round, but he also opened it up, the opportunity there by finding that kill, assisting on the flood. And while there was nothing he could do to, planted, nothing he could do to help Anderson. But yeah, on red ping, he wins that fight. Really well-timed swing. And so, well, KINOTROPE, again, they're leveraging AGATA really nicely. It can't turn into a situation where it's him or nothing. There needs to be a little more structure around him.
You look at the numbers here. So for CAG across, again, looking at both maps here, but like DD's actually the highest fragger with 11 kills. The lowest is Shriek with 9, but you've got 3 players that have got 9, and then obviously Anderton then with 10. So like you can clearly see that for CAG, this is just a full spread team effort. Then you go to KINOTROPE, and AGATA's got 14, Akali's got 7, and then you got so there's a gap. So it's not quite as even as CAG. It really is kind of AGATA or bust at the moment. As Kali finds a very early opening kill and stops this streak for AGATA. Even if AGATA's not the one who died, he's also not the one who got the opening kill. And again, that puts the pressure though. It almost is like, oh, well, look at that. Someone else got into an early engagement. They die. AGATA then probably senses that he has to do it. And the concern for me will be what happens is if he over-aggresses in that department. If CAG strings together a couple of rounds, he may then put too much emphasis on having to be the one to get that opening kill and might put himself in actually disadvantaged positions.
So
By the way, he's the only one that's gotten an opening kill for KINOTROPE.
Yeah. The sense in play for CAG this round, so probably going to mitigate the need to clear Vert and instead can be a little bit more of a direct approach here. They've also alleviated some pressure by finding the first one to Wow. And they'll spend some time now being able to prepare themselves on green side. They have the exothermics as well to expose the objective, and it should be pretty straightforward with the Nomad to cut off the flanks. This should be a pretty scrim style round for CAG where they're able to have the freedom to set up. They can shot calls, synchronize, and just execute upon the play that they've probably done dozens of times at this point.
It's an
purely
80%
execution based from here.
80% plant rate as well for CAG in this series on their attacks. So that's something to be concerned about for KINOTROPE. They're just finding it too easy to get the plants down, and that's a big kill. Perfectly timed. Now, DD Man has been doing a tremendous job in being able to grab kit, get it on the ground, getting into the right positions.
Well, they lost the sense.
At least, well, they've lost, yeah, not just the sense. They've lost DD Man. That's a big death. It's a 3v4, 40 seconds left. This is winnable for KINOTROPE.
There is a lot of pressure up above though for the attack, so Chibisu should be able to find a good timing here and disrupt 30 seconds.
See if he catches this at the right time. Doorway is being held, and they've just lost Arkali. Flash, is it effective? Indeed it is. Lands onto Eclair, helps him clear out storage. 15 seconds. AGAT is still up. He's been a little bit more quiet, and he's on this top floor. Wants to try and find the kit. He's got all of this information, but the most important one is found and secured. It is just down to AGAT, but he's on the Solus. The best operator in this position to deny the plant, and he should be able to from above. AGAT clutches for KINOTROPE.
Wow, he has played that absolutely perfectly. CAG electing to alleviate the pressure up above, and that meant that the Solus was unchecked. Can't help but shake the feeling if they had their time again, Chibisu would have stayed above. He was in a position, even if just to disrupt, but instead he tries to pivot down green and maybe aid on a clearance on the side. I'm guessing is the theory there to have a bit more body on the objective, but if they knew that Solus was in play, I can only assume that they did. You have to, if you've got man advantage, stick someone above there. You don't necessarily have to find the kill, but you have to do just enough to prevent the plant denial. And so AGAT, of course, under the microscope in that moment, had to be composed and did exactly that. Yeah, right here, it's a 3 versus 2, 20 seconds, and Chibisu just beelines out of there over towards green stairs. Maybe more conscious of the horizontal flank. I don't know the exact theory behind that. Again, if you know the Solus up, the Solus is going to be above. So I think that was a combination of a bit of an oversight from CAG, but then, of course, really good conversion from AGAT, who, again, if KINOTROPE go on to lose this game, I don't think he's the one to blame. He's had a very, very good day inside of the server.
Well, if you want to add in reasonings as to how he's been allowed in that position, I have to maybe ask the question if they actually straight up just didn't know he's up there, simply based on the fact AGAT actually was very quiet in that round. and didn't really show anything until the last second. So there is a part of me that maybe thinks CAG's just lost track and lost sight of him towards the end. And then when you add in the time factor, they lost DD Man, who is usually their planter. I think then there's a lot of things happening. Even if it's a lot of little things, you can lose sight of something, and maybe just lost sight of the Solar Gator up on the top floor and what he can do to deny late into the round. Because clearly, I mean, if they knew he was there, surely there's no world in which Chibisu goes back down green stairs. So I'm going to go with the assumption that they didn't actually know he was there. Whether they should know or shouldn't, all of the shoulds are different. Who cares about shoulds and woulds and whatnot? You're just dealing with the reality in that round. 2-1 lead for KINOTROPE. As we head back to the top floor, Master and R6.
Yeah, return to the top floor. More chips are always getting caught. But elsewhere, Arkali does, so...
Oh, that's the
Clever
first
hit the
opening
scoreboard.
kill
Yeah,
for someone not Gator for KINOTROPE in the series.
uncharted territory for KINOTROPE, but honestly, one of the best ways possible. Showing that load a little bit. And again, it's the sense off the board, so they lose that key piece of execute util. Minute 30, DD strikes elsewhere.
Yeah, just need to see Sharif and Anderton probably wake up a little bit and get more involved on Lair. Chibis is doing his best. DD Man's doing his best. Arkali's been active, and Sharif goes down again. It's been a rough series for Sharif. DD Man to cover does get the trade onto Gator, leaves it in a 3v3 heading into the last minute of this fourth round. And for a top floor site, I mean, this is actually not too bad for CAG.
No, it's definitely doable. They've lost the vert element though with the Deimos, and so it's a lot of horizontal now. Grim Util will be pretty critical on the clear over towards display. Kayu on ping. Push
For the
forward.
rush. Oh, I don't know about that one. I mean, went Bailiff trying to maybe catch off Akayu through the gas babe. Leaves Kawau now in a 1v2 to try and solidify this top floor. As Anderton will get the plant down over towards R6. Chibisu will cover. Kawau just trying to pre-fire check a couple of these corners. He's obviously not quite sure where these two are located. To the left of you, they're in R6. And he gets chunked down massively on his move over towards display. Wants to come around the other side. Anderton's watching. He had a teammate to watch the back anyway, so he could just turn around and watch both sides. 2-2, two attacking rounds for CAG. One of them on the top floor of Master and R6. 4 rounds through. The scoreline might be equal, but can't help but feel like CAG with that round win now slightly in the better position.
Yeah, no, definitely with not only reaching the 2-round benchmark, but factoring in top floor as well. That's a big win for CAG. DD doing a good job in that round to find that trade over to his lobby, but this was sort of the key moment in the round. I didn't dislike that from DD, the rush forward. They had to throw bodies at that position in response to the utility that they outlined, and so it wasn't a case of he just ran in solo. The rest of the team was able to then capitalize and find the trade on that space. So that was actually yeah, pretty well formulated there by CAG. They win out the round, and they now find themselves in a pretty decent position here. It's entering a bit of an interesting phase here of Lair. KINOTROPE will be no doubt disappointed, but they can correct course here with a win down below.
Yeah, it's one of those positions now where if KINOTROPE can just win the next 2 rounds, we would probably walk away and going into the second half. All things pretty much as expected. But it means that for CAG, the pressure's off a little bit. Yeah, you've got 2 rounds now to go for a free hit. See if you can extend your margin and take as many rounds as possible going into your defense in the second half and set yourselves up for what could be a grand final position. And Anderton was a big factor at the close of that round as well, getting a couple of crucial kills. Interestingly enough, in terms of that opening kill discussion, there 3 of the 4 rounds have not been converted now. clearly not the be and all when it comes to Lair. And Sharif almost catches the timing on Gator. It hasn't really been his day. Not that he did anything wrong there. In fact, he did a lot right. He just doesn't get the reward for it. When it's not your day, sometimes you can do a lot right and not get rewarded. And sometimes you can do a lot right and you still end up dying. You just you get flanked, or the timings, or whatever it may be. And that might just be the day that Sharif's having, but he can turn it around. Oh, Gatorade! I tell you what,
almost getting caught. He was very hungry for that drone. Now he's in caught in a pinch because he has lost that opportunity now to escape cleanly.
Yeah, good timing for Anderton.
Yep.
That's just comms. That's just teamwork. That's about understanding how you can swing that bridge safely. And that's twice now that CAG around that sky bridge area have been able to win those sort of battles and get that pinch from both sides, catching someone from KINOTROPE by themselves deep midway through the bridge and unable to kind of get back to safety. So that's happened twice now. So player advantage for CAG on this basement site. You still got quite a bit of a roam game employed here for KINOTROPE as well, and it works out for Gator towards medical, shuts down Shibitsu. And Eclair, though, goes down to the bailiff as Anderton has just suddenly woken up. Started 1-3. He's got 4 kills straight. And called for Anderton and Sharif to stand up, and one of them has.
Yeah, Anderton, I think maybe just a little uncomfortable with the double shield ban, but he's been able to find a little bit of form towards the tail end now of this attacking half. Advantage CAG. And this round, if they're able to double down on the primary and then secondary sites here, KINOTROPE find themselves in such an awkward position. This is a really big moment for CAG as they drop.
And they go over the drop. They go straight towards the side. It's Anderton finds yet another kill. This one onto Gator, who's been the most lively for KINOTROPE. He's got 4. He's on for the ace. He just has to find Akayu, who's over towards reception on the first floor. And now that they've located him, Anderton's probably going to get on the sprint and go and try and find him to get this ace secured. They'll be more worried about securing the round win, though, as they get the plant successfully down through DD Man. Anderton now on the first floor is hunting.
He's just patiently lurking and waiting for Akayu to rotate down the hatch.
It's coming. This is the ace. Oh, I mean, honestly, from Akayu, that's a decent job to just shoulder check that properly. Anderton's almost died of the barbed wire and the razor bloom. And honestly, it takes Anderton could have stayed there and tried to go for the ace, but he makes the team play just fall back. Now it's no time left. Now can he get the ace? Akayu probably doesn't want to drop. Gets the kill into DD Man. Yeah, I mean, I like that from Anderton. He doesn't really care about the ace. He's had plenty of those in his career. I'm guessing. It's been a long career. I'm sure he has.
Yeah, good from CAG. The last 2 rounds could end up being pretty definitive in the context of this series. To win out top and below, I think has taken the sting out of this defensive half for KINOTROPE, securing at least an equal footing heading into the second half, puts CAG in a very strong series winning position. KINOTROPE will like to double down. Yeah, instead of very tempting above, it's
they haven't won this at all.
Yeah.
Gotta reload. Bulletproof camera deployed. Setting Vulcan.
So CAG get 3 attacking rounds. They'll get another opportunity to try and get a 4th, and they're very good on the defensive layer. They've set this upper bracket final up now to go their way. It's all about just how they close it out. You said it before, Gator or bust, and probably has been the case. He hasn't quite, in the last 3 rounds, he hasn't found an opening kill, and in the last 3 rounds, it's been 2-1 in favor of CAG. I think this will be a case of Gator will just set his Vulcan canisters and desperately search for the first pick of the round to give his team the best chance to win. It's actually the Akayu, and it's on to Sharif. This man cannot catch a break.
No. It's been pretty rough. What?
Oh, that's rough. What? Hang on.
Excuse
What?
me? That was... I've never seen it.
Did it catch the gas pipe? Is that what?
Not that I'm aware of. Either way, that's That's one way to equalize the man count. GBC is just sending it through here over towards security. Yep, nice work on the Gatorado. So that's the part of the roam dealt with. In fact, that's both parts. Eclair falls as well. Akayu, Gator, 2v4.
Yeah, well, I was completely wrong about Gator maybe trying to just go for broke and finding an early pick. He's now midway through this final round of the half and needs to probably get at least the next 2 kills. Takes a little breather, adjusts the hair as he locks in. And credit to CAG though, because they were getting challenged to start here on Lair. And Bank itself was a challenge too. I mean, KINOTROPE have been very competitive, but CAG have just always had that one little step forward, that one little answer. Replays from Akayu. As Gator sees himself come back down to basement. As much as you want to find the positives of KINOTROPE, you do have to ask the question why you've gone back to labs again.
Yeah, it could be a costly decision for the minute to go in the round. So much utility for CAG. There's just so many entry points that they now need to be aware of.
Well, this one's done, you'd think. Just swings into the double stack there of CAG, leaving Gator in the 1v4 with the death mark floating around. It's a 4-2 half for CAG as they take an extensive lead heading into defense lair on their map pick. They're 3 rounds away from booking their place in the grand final. Well, the man on our screen really showed up towards the back end of that first half. As Anaton got going, so did CAG. And from there, 4-2 half, 3 rounds straight leads them to the defense on Lair. And only needing now 3 more rounds to book their place in the grand final, shaping up easily as the favorites to head to the major from the APAC North region. It can all change, though, even from here. KINOTROPE have been competitive. And the one thing that's not lost on me, guys, is when we were sitting at the half from Bank at 5-1, thinking maybe that one was going to be over, and then KINOTROPE put 4 rounds on the board. Who's to say what will happen here in the second half? We kind of have to keep our eyes peeled for things, because CAG, they do like to keep their fans guessing.
Yeah, that can certainly be the case, and I think we got a glimpse of that over back on Bank. I still have faith like CAG can consolidate this position. Replay package of round 6, and Sharif, it's just not been his day. I don't know how much of that is necessarily been his fault. Just maybe a string of bad luck. But for that point onwards, CAG were very competent in dealing with the dual roam and then able to collapse onto the objective pretty confidently. So into round 7, it's Monty, Ying, Mirror, and Smoke unavailable. Top floor site of choice. And so with the Smoke off the board, we'll see CAG get a little more creative. They'll persist with the Tachanka. They'll then look to play Azami on site to hold on to control as much as possible. And then there's going to be an emphasis on those Nitro cells as well from CAG landing as a former Plantinal.
It was a 1-3 start for Anderson as well, so he's 8-0. He's 8-zip. He's just really locked in towards the back end of the half. No bigger round than, of course, the 4K in the 5th round. Got Plant down the round before that. So really after the first 3 rounds, he just locked in and put together a really good display in the final 3 rounds of the half. And no surprise, funnily enough, CAG won all 3 of those rounds. He is always a big barometer for the team. If Anderton's playing well, usually CAG do. What's really helped them, though, in this series as well is DD's been really, really good. Jipisu's continued his top form this stage. So even if, it's been one to forget, I think for Sharif's standards, he's still 10-13 across the series. It's not an awful game. But he's 2-5 in the entry, 44% cost. Yeah, to his standards, he's definitely a little bit below. But the power of CAG is they've just got so many weapons. And Ayagate is going to be entrusted on the Deimos to provide early opportunity for KINOTROPE. He'll be on that first floor. Uncontested as well.
Starting to close on the midpoint then of this round. And KINOTROPE just putting in the final pieces of groundwork. Anderson looking to be pretty aggressive here on the Bandit this round in denying pressure to sight. And Sharif with a big responsibility, Mez. He'll be looking to change his fortune for this map. As Anderton retreats from his position, and Sharif as well will also fall back. So CAG not afraid to forfeit some of this control of KINOTROPE, forced to work for it. And there's a Claire. Will die elsewhere. CAG advantage.
So Akayu goes searching at the doorway over towards Mez to just see if he can cut off an angle. They still have an opened up mask. That's the concern for me. If you're not going to have mask opened up, your ability to kind of get in through this Mez doorway is so difficult. Now, Akali has been pushed out from behind that Kiba barrier, courtesy of Akayu with the flame bolt from the Capital, and he has been taken low. But that's it. They haven't really been able to do much else with it. And Ayagator then falls to Sharif. Akayu does slip in and then immediately gets shot. And again, it's like walking into the Hornet's nest. So difficult if you don't open up mask. He's got to try it with a super shorty. It's not going to work out. CAG make it 4 rounds straight. Perfect way to kickstart the second half as they go 5-2 up. 2 more rounds required to book their place in the grand final.
Yeah, very, very solid effort there in that round. KINOTROPE failing to flush out that site efficiently. Hard breach posing some problems. And so it was very much a filter effect towards the tail end of that round, and CAG aren't going to screw that up. So a good start for them. They tick off the top floor. And the beauty of their position after the first half is if they can tick off basement again, expected to, then they're only on serious point and they have that bubbles to then play around. So for KINOTROPE, it's a tricky position. We'll see if they can continue to fight here into the 8th round. They'll be contending with the Scopos in this particular occasion. And so Sharif has been given the license to roam around a little bit now, able to flip his fortune with some picks in the last round. And I'll be intrigued to see actually how much how eager he is to stay off-site, or if it's going to be a case of peeling back pretty quickly.
Yeah, and just happy really for Sharif to finally have a round where it all just kind of came together for him. That's the kind of player he is. He can get those multi-kill rounds. He can go pop off, get 3-4Ks. Gets a 3K in that previous round, and suddenly the map of it doesn't look so bad. You go from 1-5 to 4-5 just like that. And KINOTROPE must now be thinking, though, they've got a lot of work to be done if they're going to get back into this series. They were in a very similar position back on Bank. It was a 5-1 deficit. This is 5-2. They got it back to 5-5, just couldn't hold on, and eventually CAG got the map done. This is going to be a difficult and more difficult task considering they're attacking into lair against CAG. There you get it. In towards lockers. Nice, good position early on here for Basement by himself. Akali's over towards stock. They're going to go rather direct. They catch Akali on the drop. And KINOTROPE, will they all funnel in behind these players and just go direct towards site?
Minute 30, and it's equalized with Kawau falling. Gator has been so patient. It's a half swing from Anaton and punished accordingly. Good advantage now for KINOTROPE. Plant going down, DD man to fall, and this should be KINOTROPE's.
And 2v3 post plant should be KINOTROPE's 100%. Chibisu and the rest up above just susceptible to that slipping. They found the gap courtesy of Gator on the Solid Snake, really showing off the power of the radar. Sharif, big kill onto it. Claire, well, is it Sharif time? If he can win this next battle, it might be more of a chance, but it's Gator that closes it out. 10 seconds quickly for Chibisu to either go for the kit, and it's not, he actually doesn't even have the time to really get there and get on it, and Gator already just says, yep, GG. He'll swing. There's no time. And KINOTROPE will take this basement site. 4 in the round for Chibisu, but it won't matter. It's the round win that goes the way of KINOTROPE. They make it 5-3, and they stop the CAG streak at 4 rounds straight, as they did have a 2-1 lead. They've now finally gotten their 3rd round. But I think a lot of that round actually is still off of Gator. He doesn't get the opening kill. That's Akayu. But the Solid Snake being able to slip in towards site, get deep position towards lockers, have a good cutoff of this hallway position, and facilitate the ability for the rest of the team to follow in, get plant down, and not even have to worry about that first floor. That is a big reason why KINOTROPE win the round.
Well, they stay alive for a little while longer. Tertiary could provide an opportunity to close that gap even further. Over to Dorms for the 9th round. Again, they're doing a good job in leveraging Gator. I think Solid Snake is an operator that, yeah, particularly favors his play style and being able to lurk into positions, be patient.
10 seconds to go.
And it's obviously difficult to ascertain how much of the information he's gathering. Is that just for his sole purpose? Is that being relayed across to the rest of the team? It's probably an element of both. And so, as expected on this side, there's an emphasis on the top floor from defense with Vert. KINOTROPE electing not to go the sense route, though. And their lineup is probably actually, without the Capital, without the sense, etc., suggesting it's going to be a proper flush out of above.
It just keeps this alive, doesn't it? I mean, 2 rounds is in touching distance for KINOTROPE. Heavy reliance on Gator to continue to perform to the level that he has been, sure. But it seems like he's up for the task. The good news for CAG, though, is Sharif's come to the party and Anaton continues his strong form. Of course, wasn't much he could do against Gator. He was pre-lined up for about 40 seconds and didn't know it. All clear on the radar as Gator successfully through basement can now make his way up yellow.
Yeah, minute 40, they've got a pretty good ground here with low risk and investment. But now comes the hard part of, especially with that Islami in play, there's going to be a lot of utility clearance required. And there's a lack of hard breach on offer here as well. That being said, some of the pills being forced as DD will fall back down to the side. Chibisu, Kali Anaton, well, they were second floor, but they too have also at least teased the retreat initially. Chibisu is in a position to play for life, that would appear, and Kali is in quite a high-risk position as well. Despite that, Chibisu lands the shot up to 13, drops down for a second, and CAG have been able to pounce big time in this round. It's flawless for CAG.
Wow, that was quick. And that whole time, I'm sitting and I'm actually watching Ayagator because he was playing Snake first floor security and using that radar constantly to try and get information to aid his team. But he wasn't able to really get involved. He wasn't going for a push to those in-site bunks briefing and try and take the fight with them while that second floor push was happening. So he never really got a chance to be involved. And while what he was necessarily doing wasn't bad, is he the kind of player that you want sitting back doing nothing while all of this is going on? I'd rather see Ayagator be on the front line if that's how you're going to play it, rather than being the one only providing information. He's been your best gunner. He's gotten all your opening kills. He's the reason why you're winning rounds. And if he's sitting there playing that role, feeding information, and you can't play off of that, well, yeah, there's a reason why it's 6-3 and 3 match points and series points for CAG. But they played that really well. I mean, Chibisu backed himself in, played for life, got a sick headshot, dropped down, and they just had KINOTROPE read like a book that whole round. Flawless from CAG. It's their second of the series. KINOTROPE got one back on bank as well. As Chibisu goes 14-4, 21-13 across the two maps, 3-0 on the entry. He has statistically been the highest rated player in the server. And he's been the highest rated player for the stage guys, averaging a 136 EPS.
Well, can CAG now put the cherry on top? It should be pretty straightforward from here, but time will tell. CAG, of course, have a pretty notable reputation of sometimes prolonging the closure of games. But I feel like maybe we're seeing the other side of that, at least if recent form is anything to go by, where they're doing a much better job in closing out strong, advantageous positions. And we'll see if this one is to be an exception or not. About 40 seconds into this round, and a bit of a lurk employed from Sharif elsewhere. The rest of the team focusing their efforts second to floor. And as for the attack of KINOTROPE, it's purely on the exterior at the moment, gaining info on drones. Deimos and the Solid Snake combination for them this round will hopefully offer them a lot of information. IQ for the side of electronics as well. And now able to chip away at a little bit of ground. That flank, though, could be dangerous. If Sharif hits the right timing here, Kowal could find himself in a world of hurt.
1 for 1 at the very least, keeps things equal. But that's what you want if you're KINOTROPE. You want Ayagator getting involved nice and early. They've won the majority of their rounds when he's gotten the opening picks and looked the best as well. Now, losing the Grim versus the Azami, I'd probably rather have the Azami, to be honest, but it's a bit however you feel like. The Grim can be decent, of course, heading into Master and R6 to get some information, clear out certain positions, but the Azami just as strong with the keeper barriers. 55 seconds remaining. Declare the patience. And it does pay off. Catches Sharif down below. And gives KINOTROPE the extra number. Ayagator, he does go onto that front line now. He goes for a flank here last second. Wants to reevaluate where he wants to enter. Get more information off the radar. And wants to go through ops.
30 seconds. There's a lot of utility for KINOTROPE. They just need to make sure they deploy it correctly here. Ayagator can hit the backstab and they should be in a good spot.
runs on batteries. I see it.
They are leaving themselves low on time, though. Okayu is going to have to get this plant down uncontested. There's a Claire lost his battle against Shibisu. Ayagata, Nitrocell from DD Man shuts him down. And that will be the end of the map and therefore the series, as CAG will book their place in the APAC North Kickoff Grand Final. It drops KINOTROPE to the lower bracket. They will get reprieve. They will get a second chance. But who knows if it will be against CAG in the grand final. They've still got to get through either Scars or D+, which will be up next. But for CAG, one more best of 3 away from the major.
Yeah, CAG putting in another really strong result. Truly didn't expect a 2-0 in this series. I think we saw a good amount of fight from KINOTROPE, but CAG overall a little more well-rounded in this team, obviously, with a world of experience behind them at this point. They got pushed, they got tested on a couple of occasions, whether it be back on map 1 or here on Lair. But ultimately, I think they just had a little more depth, and their strategy here on Lair seems to be very, very difficult to take down, despite whatever counter work KINOTROPE may have done heading into it. So, yeah, solid performance for them all round. And even there on Cam at the end, he had a bit of a rough start there on Lair. I think that the double shield ban certainly didn't help him in terms of feeling comfortable, but when he was able to get going, the rest of the team followed. And in terms of, I guess if there's another player to highlight as well, DD, he had 2 massive clutches over the course of this series, which were actually at pretty pivotal moments of both respective maps, and overall did a really, really good job. So I think CAG, the vibes are strong, and I think, yeah, as a very small preview to the grand final, they're probably going in as the favorite, unless we see something super dramatic throughout this lower bracket.
We're going to go and have a chat with Sparky from CAG, fresh off of that win. Sparky, congratulations. A spot in the grand final, 1 away from the major. We had a couple of interviews earlier today, one with PJH, one with Hell from D+, and they're talking about CAG's counter-stratting of D+, in that series last week. Coming into today, though, how much work was kind of put into KINOTROPE and what they've been doing so far at this stage of kickoff?
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, so not as heavy as the D+ game for sure. Not as heavy as the D+ game. I think KINOTROPE is is a hell of a team in terms of like their playstyle, which like I think it, like encompasses and sort of shows like what the APAC region is all about, pretty much. Especially like in the last few years. So yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say about they're just a weird team. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like they just do weird things. Like for example, on Layer, we never played Smoke, right? So it's not a counter ban, it's a comfort ban. But like, how is Smoke a comfort ban? Like, some things just don't make sense to me. Like, I cannot comprehend what they're doing. But some of the things they do actually do make sense, because they're nonsense, but it's the nonsense that works. Like that also the top teams do. Like those kind of unpredictable things. But some things I don't know. I don't know what to say.
On the topic of nonsense, actually, I want to go back to Bank briefly, because that was probably one of the most attacker-sided banks I think I've ever seen in my life. What the hell is going on there for both teams?
Yeah, no, Bank has to go. Like, Bank has to go. Like, it's everyone's got too figured out. Like, especially in the last stage, it's too attacker-sided. It's too static. It's just too figured out by the attack. It's like, it has to go. Like, it was a classic. Like last couple of years, it's a classic. Now it's become like too much of a classic. Like, it's too figured out. What was going on? I have no idea. We didn't adapt properly to what they were doing. We didn't really counter-strat that heavy in this game, and it was my fault, because like they're a very heavy. They're a team you need to counter-strat like heavily, but at the same time I was like, this is a new team, so I wasn't really sure what they were gonna do, because like first game they played in the league, they played totally different from the second game, and so I didn't really know what they were gonna bring up. So I just sort of trained more to stay flexible, and it gradually worked out.
Sparky, before we let you go, I just want to ask one last question. You guys are in the grand final now. You've obviously a week until that gets played. Just talk us through sort of like what's the next week going to be like for you and the team.
Another day in the office. Another week in the office. Same all.
That's the best answer, Sparky. Congratulations again on making the grand final, and best of luck next week.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.
So CAG in another grand final in APAC North as KINOTROPE tried their best. 7-5, 7-3 the map results. Ayagata certainly did try his best, Gus.
Yeah, honestly, it was really interesting getting the thoughts of that matchup as a whole. It seems like CAG, and I mean Sparky more specifically, kind of walking away from that with mixed feelings. KINOTROPE maybe catching them off in some parts, but then also being pretty predictable and easy to read in others. And so, yeah, ultimately they walk away with the win nonetheless. And yeah, in terms of looking at that summary as a whole, there was some big names firing inside of the server. So sets us up for an exciting grand final, but the ultimate question will be who joins them, and that lower bracket is still very much up in the air as to how that will develop.
Well, we're kind of on schedule today, despite the 2-0s that we had due to the earlier delays. But a short break, and on the other side, back to the lower bracket in a do-or-die match between D+ Kia and Scars.